Welcome to Sales Platoon podcast, where strategy meets storytelling. And we're right at the crossroads of the battlefield in the business front. I'm your host, John Renken, bringing you the tactics and triumphs and truths from the trenches of sales. In today's episode, we're going to do a bunch of decoding of transition from service to business. And our guest today is John Crespo, a great friend of mine. John, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, John. Looking forward to this interview, man. I've been, we work in the same area, so I get to hear you out there chatting with other people, and I was wondering when my time would come, and here I am, man. I'm excited.
And you're one of the first five.
At least it's the top 10.
Yeah. So, you bring that up. So we share an office together. Obviously, we're in two different locations for the recording because, I'm not like Sean right now, Sean Ryan, or, Patrick Bet David with our own podcasting room where we fly guests in. Yeah. So we had to kind of do some manipulation to make this one work. When did you serve? Where did you serve? What did you do?
Yeah. All right. Let's go back into time, because it was a long time ago. So I joined the Army straight out of high school, 18 years old, graduated high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. My mom said, you either got to figure it out. You either got to go to college, join the military, but you're not going to be doing what you're doing. Right. So I was in the path to nowhere. So I said, all right, I'm going to join the military. Because, my high school was like a vocational military high school.
Oh, okay.
It was Navy focused, but I wasn't into the Navy. But, the fact that I went to that high school, I was able to go into the Army as an E3. So I said, why not? I could go in with a little bit extra cash in my pocket. So I joined the Army, went to basic training in Fort Leonard Wood. I joined as a 92 Alpha, which is an automated logistical specialist. I was a PLL clerk in the motor pool, assigned to infantry and cavalry divisions. It was great. My first duty station was in Germany. And
rough life.
Oh my God. In the 90s, man, it was the tail end of Bosnia, right? The whole Bosnia thing going on. And in between Bosnia and the Gulf. Right. So it was in there. So we spent some peacekeeping time in Bosnia, but that was the extent of my deployments. But in Germany, it was the life. I loved Germany. Germany was great. And from Germany, went to Fort Campbell and stayed in Fort Campbell until I ETS. I never re-signed up. So I just ETS out of Fort Campbell. I did 6 years total, but then I got out and went back home to New Jersey. That's my military experience.
So when you ETS, what was your transition experience like? Because you got out in 99, so there wasn't a skill bridge program, there wasn't a CSP program.
There was no transition. Okay. There was no transition for people getting out. As a matter of fact, the guidance you got was you'll never make it out in the real world. I don't know why you're getting out. So I'm the type of guy, don't throw that challenge out at me. I'm gonna go prove you wrong, So I didn't have any type of transition. The kind of programs that they have today, I think are amazing, to help prepare our transitioning soldiers. But that wasn't there. I got my checklist of where I had to clear. Once I was done clearing, see you later.
Yeah, so when I got out in 96, they gave me my DD-214 and said, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Same thing. Very much not friendly to getting out.
Nope.
Did you have to do ACAP?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay.
Nope.
So, I don't remember if ACAP was required for us or if it was just optional, because they helped me do my resume when I got out, but
I think that may have been optional in our time. May have been optional. And I don't think I took that. It may have been available then when I was getting out. I don't quite remember, but I don't think I took advantage of it.
So you moved back to Jersey.
Moved back to Jersey.
How long did you stay in Jersey?
25 years in Jersey after getting out of the military. I'm born and raised in New Jersey. So I left New Jersey to join the military and then came back and out of the Army and went back to New Jersey.
How long did you stay in Jersey though after the Army?
Oh, until I moved here to Clarksville. And I moved to Clarksville in 2018. So from 99, I did a National Guard in New Jersey. When I got out, I did National Guard. But from 99 to 2018, I was in New Jersey.
Okay, so what brought you back to Clarksville?
Well, I woke up, man. I woke up. So it's funny story is about 10 years ago, my wife's nephew, who was an old Navy guy, he's a Navy veteran, came to visit some friends here in Clarksville and he decided to stay. So when I found out he was here, I said, hey, I want to go visit Clarksville. That was my last duty station. I want to take my family to visit Fort Campbell and show them around and all that kind of stuff. So that was in about 2016 when I made my first visit out here. I loved it as soon as I came out because you remember Fort Campbell in the 90s, that this whole area was the whole area of this of Clarksville area was just nothing. It was cornfield. Yeah, nothing but cornfields and farms. You smelled a lot of cow manure and all that stuff. And obviously back in 2016, it was over about 170,000 people here.
Yeah.
So it was a growing city. You could see it. So plus the pricing, the housing pricing and cost of living compared to New Jersey was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
No brainer.
So at what point do you start your own business?
Oh, okay. So my entrepreneurial journey started, and I've ran many businesses. I've ran several businesses. But my entrepreneurial journey started around 2014, 2015.
So when you got out, what'd you do between 1999 and 2015?
Between 1999 and 2015, went to work. So I started working in manufacturing.
Okay.
The part of New Jersey that I live in is big and has a lot of manufacturing facilities there. So my first job was in a manufacturing facility, just running machinery. And like there was, it's very healthcare manufacturing in that area. So it was L'Oreal, the makeup company,
right?
They had a contract with Polo Cologne. So we ran their Polo Cologne perfume. So I did that for several years. And then I worked for another warehouse. I was working a lot in the manufacturing logistical world for about a good 5 years. And then I was going to school at the same time, took advantage of my GI Bill. So I went to school and I got my bachelor's degree in business. And then from there, I went to work. I transitioned to banking. It was a night and day transition from manufacturing logistics into the financial world. I joined the financial world, the banking world in 2007. Around 2007, I started working in the financial world with JP Morgan Chase.
Oh,
and
wow.
Most of my time was there. Yeah.
Cody Sanchez used to work there too.
Yeah. In
asset management. So did you know, so when you got out in 99, did you know you were going to go right back to Jersey, go right into manufacturing just like everybody else? Or, were you lost? How did that play out?
I was lost. When I got out in 99, I knew I was going back to Jersey, but I didn't know what I was going to do. Yeah, I come from a family line of hustlers, right? My grandmother was a hustler. She always found a way to make money, whether it was creating some yarn doll figures and selling them to selling food. Like she was a hustler.
Yeah.
My mom worked 3 or 4 jobs to raise us. So I didn't know exactly what I was going to do when I got out, but I knew that when I got to Jersey, my first order of business was finding a job. Yeah. So I went and I hit all the employment agencies, whatever I could to get my stuff out there to get myself a job. So I got a job fairly quickly. I didn't have a thought process where I was going to join manufacturing or logistics or anything. I just needed a job.
So you get out in 99. So, just 2 years prior to 9/11, was there anything in your journey as you were transitioning, looking for an employment when 9/11 happened to bring you back? Was that a temptation for you?
100%. I was so again, it's being in the area of New Jersey that I was at, I saw everything happening. So I saw the towers get hit, the world shut down. My part of the world was shut down. And where I lived, actually, I lived on the Jersey Shore, and you could see Manhattan
Oh, wow.
from our town. So we went to once everything was shut down, we drove to the beach and we were looking at Manhattan. You could see the towers burning, where the towers were. You could see the ferry. There was ferries ferrying people from New York to New Jersey to get them out of that area of Manhattan. We were seeing all of this, and it was just anger. I just started getting my blood just started boiling that someone would dare do that to us. And
Yeah.
I was ready to go right back in and just wreak havoc.
Yeah. So what stopped you from going back in?
My family. So I was with my wife. We were just getting started in our kind of like our journey. I was building a family right at that point. So it was like my conversation with her was, hey, look, I think I need to go back in. She's, was totally against it. And I get it. She was totally against it. She's like, we're just got to this new place and we're starting to build this up. It's going to flip our life upside down. And I was like, well, this is not a joke. What happened is this is serious. We've been attacked. Who knows? Nobody knew what was going on at that time. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen. We thought it was going to be the end of the world, man. When you attack us like that, we thought we were going to go nuclear. So it was a big conversation, but
Yeah.
she talked me off the ledge, and I did not. I wanted to go back in, but I didn't.
Yeah. So you make this transition into banking. What were you doing in banking in 2007?
Yeah. I started from the bottom in the banking world. So once I got my business degree, I joined JP Morgan Chase as a banker. So I was one of those guys that you would go into the branch and they would help you open your bank account,
right,
and get your credit card and make sure you had all that stuff. So I was that guy. I was one that did all the paperwork to get you an account.
Okay.
That was my foray into the banking. But with Chase, I got to pretty much do every level of banking. So I went from being a banker. From there, I became a mortgage. They called them mortgage specialist back then. So I did mortgages for a couple of years. Yeah. From there, I became a branch manager, started running some branches. And then I just stayed as a branch manager for a while, for several years with Chase. And that's where I got my exposure to working with small businesses, because as a branch manager, your job is to be that small business representative for the banks.
So you transition out in 99, 9/11 happens, you're working a job, you make a transition from manufacturing now into finance and banking.
Yep.
Where you start get the itch for doing your own thing? When's that take place?
Well, when I became a branch manager, I'm being exposed to a lot of small business owners.
Okay.
Right. So I'm having conversations with a lot of small business owners that are coming in looking for a credit card or trying to get some checks cashed, or, setting up bank accounts for their businesses. So you get to have conversations with these entrepreneurs, and a lot of them have some amazing stories to tell, and just listening to the stories and listening to a lot of the sacrifices that they had to go through to create their business, and some of the struggles they're going through to manage their business and run their business. That started like that fire inside of me to say, hey, look, that is where I'm going to end up. I'm going to end up over there. I like the grabbing my destiny and creating it and managing it and being responsible for that, and just for my own future. I like that. It's calling my name. So, the more I spoke to business owners, the more that kind of fire just kept growing and growing inside of me before I took that leap into trying something out.
Yeah, that's actually why we do this podcast. Is seeing is really believing for most vets.
Yeah.
That we're a very skeptical, sometimes very cynical and dark humor type of tribe of people. And the whole purpose of the podcast is to talk about the transition, to show them, because right now in the culture, the average income is like $20-25 an hour. But through entrepreneurialism and specifically sales and business, you could be making, starting out, $65,000, $75,000, $100,000 a year.
Yep.
So what was your first dip into your own business?
My first dip, it was a trucking company.
You
Believe
started
it or
a
not,
trucking company?
started a
No,
trucking
how have
company.
I been in your office and like, I didn't know you did mortgage. I didn't know you did trucking. Like, I've been in your office for almost a year and a half now.
My resume is deep, man. My resume is deep. But this is a crazy story. So my wife has two brothers and they're truck drivers.
Okay.
They're owner operators.
Right.
So they own their own trucks, they drive for other companies. And where we are in New Jersey, it's the ports of entry for containers that are coming in from overseas. It's a major port of entry for that.
Right.
So there's a lot of trucking in my area. And I had exposure to trucking from working in the warehouses and the logistics side of when I first got out of the Army. I had exposure to that. So I had an understanding of the industry, but I didn't know it, right? So my brother-in-laws, they approached me one day. I was doing mortgages for Chase when they approached me the first time. And I was like, man, I don't know anything about trucking. I'm not interested. I don't want to start a trucking company. They wanted to start one. And they didn't want to be owner operators anymore. They wanted to own their own company.
Sure.
And hire owner operators. So took a couple years, and this was around end of 2013. I said, I was we were going through the whole financial crisis that happened around that time, 2008, 2009, when the housing market just collapsed and all these banks started failing. It was a stressful time in the financial world, very
Yep.
stressful time. So I was like, I don't know if I want to even be part of this career path anymore with all the stuff that's going on. I think I want to, my mind was ready to try something else. It was open to try other things. So they approached me again, and then I said, you know what? Let's do it. So I just jumped on the internet, started doing some research on how to start a trucking company. What are the rules and regulations around running a trucking company? So I dug in and I did some serious research in the industry to figure out how to get something like that off the ground. And we did it. I got the DOT registrations, the MC number. I got our tax ID. I did everything myself.
Nice.
So and that right, just going through that process right there, that brought a true appreciation of what somebody goes through when they're starting a business, right? Because you can have people that have a passion to do something, even while you're in the military, even active duty. Like there's a lot of active duty soldiers that are doing stuff on the side. They're building up. They have an investment portfolio on the side of real estate. A lot of them get into real estate. A lot of them have other businesses on the side. So going through that process, I got to see, exactly what entrepreneurs go through. And I was like, man, it's rough and tough, but you controlling your destiny. I love it. I love it. So we built this trucking company, and probably our first year and a half, we made it. It was how you say, what's millions? 7-figure business. It was a 7-figure business.
Nice. How long did
In
it take you to get
top
to
line business. Huh?
How long did it take you to get to 7 figures? You start in 2013.
Yep. By the middle of 2014, we were a 7-figure business. It was top line business. So here's where I made a mistake. And well, I would say we made a mistake. Me and my partners made a mistake. Is we priced our moves wrong. So this was a huge mistake when you're starting a business. You got to understand pricing, right? You got to understand how much you're going to charge for your service or product. You got to do some serious research into that. And I didn't do enough. So we used the pricing model that owner operators use, not what the trucking company uses.
Oh,
Yeah.
how much do you think
So
you
we
lost?
were, yeah. So even though we made over $1 million, and we lost money in the business, so we didn't make any money out of that business, and it was just boggled my mind. We figured out the mistake and started correcting it, but then we were in a real big hole trying to dig ourselves out in an industry that has some major overhead, such as the trucking industry. So it was a serious
How
learning
much do you think
experience.
you lost for that mistake?
About over 100,000.
Okay, not bad.
About 150.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been
That's
way
a big,
worse.
yeah, it could have been way worse. Could have been way worse. So, I mean, I've gone through everything starting that business that I think any business would go through that can go wrong. Like I've gone through everything wrong in that business that any business can go through. We had trucks get into accidents, and in the trucking business, when there's trucking accidents, those are major accidents.
Yeah.
The truck flips over on the interstate, that's a major issue. So we've had to go through several of those and go through those processes and deal with figuring out how to navigate that financial crunch. And it was just dealing with owner operators that were stealing, so it was an experience for sure. But the education that I got from going through that was priceless. Even
Yeah.
with the loss, I took it on the chin, and like that education stuck with me for my next venture.
Yeah. Okay. What was the next venture?
The next venture was a
Well,
detailing
before
company.
we get into next venture, did you sell out on your portion of the trucking company? How'd you manage that transition?
Yeah, so we liquidated the trucking
Okay.
company. There was no money gained. We all lost money out of the process. But we did end up liquidating because there's one thing you have to consider when you're starting a business, especially if you're starting a business with family, right? That things can go wrong and
Yep.
relationships can get strained, especially if you're losing money. Relationships can get strained, and there was a strain on our family relationships. To this day, we're still going through it. They weren't business guys. I was just learning this business, so it was hard to really, get everybody on the same page. So there was a struggle. So we decided, hey, the best thing to do, let's just liquidate this and part ways and call it a loss. And we'll work to recover whatever we can recover in any way that we can. So it was the end of 2015,
Okay. All
we
right.
liquidated the business.
So liquidated it, and then what'd you do? What'd you switch into?
I
Because
actually
now
went
you
back
have
to
the
back
bug,
for a
right?
little while.
Now, now you have the bug
well,
of working
well,
for yourself.
yeah. So this is funny because after that, I went back to banking. So I
Okay.
went back to Chase, and that's what I love. I'll never say anything bad about the company Chase, and I like their CEO Jamie Dimon. Actually, he said some really amazing things in the news just recently that truly. Did you see that video? That
Yep.
I truly appreciate. So the fact that they took me back after me trying this venture to help me get back on my feet because I was struggling. We lost all of our money. I had no money for my family, so they took me back. Like, all right, here, you manage a couple of these branches for us. So I did that, but I couldn't get back into it. I couldn't get back into it being an employee.
Yep.
Right, so it was a struggle for me. So a couple years later, I would say 2017, I quit Chase to go start, believe it or not, a mobile detailing company. Mobile car detailing company. That was my next venture. I was always a car freak. I still am. I like to keep my cars clean.
Got to be
So,
tracking
it
your
was,
steps right now with our weather.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So this is, but I like to keep cars clean. So I was always cleaning my family's cars, my neighbors' cars and everything. And then I started making money from it. And I just got into it. And I saw the niche of mobile detailing at that time was something that was becoming popular. So I started a mobile detailing company. And yeah, I did pretty good with that, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I was able to support my family with mobile detailing, and I actually did mobile detailing until I moved out to Clarksville, Tennessee. When I moved out to Clarksville, I moved out here mobile detailing. I was detailing out of here, so I brought the business with me.
So when did you sell that business? How much you make off? How much did you sell it for?
I didn't sell the business. I just stopped.
Oh,
Right, I just stopped. Yeah. So I started just transferring. All right. So when I moved out here, and I'll give you the reason why I did that is when I moved out here, my wife said we can move on the condition that I get that I find a steady employment out here. So I get a job, basically. Because after coming out here to visit and seeing the change and seeing the difference in lifestyle between Clarksville, Tennessee, and New Jersey, I was adamant on leaving New Jersey. I was telling my wife, we can do great things if we leave New Jersey and go to Clarksville, Tennessee. I can just start fresh. I don't care what it is, but I want to leave New Jersey because I want to move there. Right? It's like she was like, the only way I'm going to agree to this move is if you find steady employment, because you can't just build a detailing business. You can't just move your business out there and make the same amount of money night and day, right? At making that kind of move. So I said, okay. I came out here for a visit just to do job prospecting, and I found a job at SunTrust, which was SunTrust at that time in Nashville. So they hired me to manage the Music Row branch.
Okay.
Which was right downtown Nashville, in the heart of Music Row. All the music producers, like all the producing companies, banked with them. So it was all. I was like, this is God saying, this is for you. This move is for you. So that was my move out here, but I also brought detailing with it. So I was working for the bank and detailing from our house, and brought my trailer and did mobile detailing from here in Clarksville for like the first year.
For sure. So now you have a business consulting company, basically, where you do lending, you're a CPA, you do taxes. How do you go from being at SunTrust and a mobile detailing company to starting your own? I think you started as a tax accountant first, right?
No, well, I started as a business consultant. So I was doing business consulting on the side. And then I added tax. Tax was the first thing I added.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And then I added the bookkeeping and the payroll and everything like that. But that came about when I worked a year in Nashville in Music Row, and then I transitioned to working from Clarksville with Forterra Credit Union, which is a local credit union here, and it took over their business department. So how I got into consulting, as a manager in these institutions, you are a small business consultant. That's what you do. Your job is to consult small businesses. And especially with Forterra, I was the director of business development for their business department. So my job was to get out in the community, have lunch and learns, share information to the small business owners, teach them how to register a business, teach them what paperwork you need for financing. So I really dug deep into the business world, extra deep, working in that position. And a lot of businesses just started reaching out to me to kind of like help them on the side. So my side hustle was helping small businesses either get registered or make sure they had the proper regulatory filings that they needed to be able to get their business off the ground. And so I was doing that on the side for a while before I decided, this is something I want to do full time.
Okay. All right. So I remember when you were working at Forterra, because I met you right at the tail end of your time at Forterra.
Yep.
So you're working at Forterra, you're business director. You start doing that on the side.
Mm-hmm.
That's about a 2-year window from when you moved from Jersey to here. Your wife wants you to have stable income, stable employment as condition of movement. Yeah. How did you convince her to let you go at it again?
I gave her 2 years of stable employment. I gave her 2 years of bringing a paycheck to the house. Like, hey, here's 2 years. Actually, it was 2.5 years of me bringing a steady paycheck to the house. But she saw what was good is that I was doing the consulting on the side for about a year, right? While I was still working, it was a year, and she saw that it was starting to bring in some revenue. And, in that time, I said, I have to start the conversation early with my wife to let her know, what my hopes and dreams are for our family, for our future, for wealth and everything like that. And so I started the conversation early. I was like, look, it looks like this is building, and I think I can really take this to the next level if I add some additional services that everybody needs. because then, we'll be able to create an area where we're helping businesses completely in every aspect of their need. So she was like, I'm just going to watch. She's like, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch. You do you, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch. And if it looks like it's doing something, then go for it. So she's my ride or die. I have to say, she holds me accountable, but she'll let me go out there and try some things. Yeah, exactly. Because she knows I can be a person of impulse, so she has to kind of reel me in sometimes. And I need that for sure.
So I have you come and speak to our Sales Platoon class. Transitioning from the military, where you're told where to be, what to wear, what to eat, what to do. Everything's micromanaged for you. You don't have to have a brain, right? To now they're getting into 1099 sales or W-2 sales, but the entire game has changed. And what I use you for in that context is to really talk about tax implications when because as a W-2, if you're making 75K, your income is your income. You're not seeing, probably at 75, you're probably not seeing 15,000 of it that's being taken out of your check, but your check is your check. When you get out and you become a 1099, all of that changes. Why did you decide to start on the tax side of things? And where did that all, because you and I have done a couple of these things with taxes. So why did that become a part of your business, and how do you use that now in serving businesses?
Well, I was doing taxes. That was just something I would do. I did all my family's taxes. I did my friends' taxes, because I thought it was something I felt pretty easy and comfortable doing. When I got into the tax preparation business for small businesses and individuals, it was a pretty easy transition. The only thing that changed was the software that I used. So I went from, let's just say, using TurboTax or software like that me getting into that, diving into that, really came from walking along businesses prior and seeing their struggle whenever they got a tax bill, not understanding why they have to pay the government. How come they made this much money, but they had this many expenses, but they still owe money to the government. So a lot of these questions started coming up. So it was just a matter of saying, you know what, let's answer those questions. So let's create the service that will help answer those questions and guide my clients so that they're not just getting surprised at the end of the year what their tax bill is going to be, but we can prepare and do more of a tax strategy versus tax preparation. I believe in tax planning and tax strategy instead of just tax preparation. So it's more of like, how can we prepare ourselves to understand what's going to be expected at the end of the year by understanding what our business structure brings when it comes to tax implications and what the differences of a W-2 with 1099, an LLC, an S corporation, and all that stuff provides when it comes to taxes, so that we know what to do come tax time.
Yeah, it's, I try to tell everybody this. There's a difference between going to H&R and getting your taxes done versus working with somebody like you who actually will tell you how to legally avoid tax burden, right? So more of a wealth consultant. And I think that when you look at it, our two most expensive bills are probably our mortgage and then our taxes. And depending on your income bracket, taxes is probably a larger portion than even your mortgage. When I look at, if you're making 100K, taxes is probably surplused your actual mortgage somewhere in that neighborhood. You get to 90K, you're probably paying more on taxes than mortgage, right?
Yep.
And it's so important because, again, in the military, told what to do, when to do, how to do, what to wear, what to think. Now you get out, and the tax game is really different. If you made 100K in the Army, for example, you actually didn't make 100K because some of that was tax-free, some of it was taxed, and then you get out, you think 100K, and then you got 70, 75, whatever it ends up being, because you lost that 20K of tax-free money in BAA,
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah. I look at what I like about soldiers transitioning and the fact that we're going from, our life scheduled out for us, everything we're told what to do, all this and that, to the regular world where, you're kind of like responsible for your life at this point, right? You go from not being totally responsible to being completely responsible for everything that goes on. You make the decision of what's going to happen, right? I look at taxes when it comes to that as a PMCS manual, right? When in the military, you got to PMCS your vehicles, you got to PMCS your equipment, you got to PMCS everything, right? So that it's going to function when you need it, right?
Yep.
So you got to PMCS your life, you got to PMCS your taxes so that you know what to expect when it's needed,
Yep.
right? So it helps when I'm speaking to veterans or soldiers already, soldiers in the process of transitioning, to say it's not necessarily a switch of lifestyle, right? Your lifestyle is going to change, but doesn't have to be a light switch. You can view it in a way that kind of like helps the transition go smoothly. So you can view it in a way of saying, as veterans, we've learned so much about preparation. We learned so much about, being ready, always being alert, always being, on the go. You can use that mentality in the real world. That's why so many veterans become successful entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're process oriented.
Yeah.
So we use that process orientation mindset to the specific task, let's just say taxes. And we can say, all right, in taxes, how do I understand this burden that's going to hit me? And then how can I PMCS my life so that I'm not surprised and I'm running when I need to run when it comes to the tax time.
Yeah. And one of the things you and I have talked about in the past and still talk about is the idea of having that side hustle, that 1099 on top of your W-2. So the federal government really doesn't take as much of your income, right?
Yeah.
Talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at an opportunity to bring on a 1099 type of life, or just have a side business, right? Having a side business opens the door for so many benefits that come at you. So our tax system is a 2-tier tax system, right? You have your employment tax and you have your business tax. Those are the two, right? And the government likes to will create benefits on the business side because the business is what generates growth, right? If you own a business, the potential is you're going to hire people. You're going to hire employees. If you hire employees, you get a tax benefit for hiring employees. The government wants you to hire people. They want their economy thriving. If you own a business, you're going to invest in property. You're probably going to purchase some real estate or investment property. So the government wants people to build and they want people to purchase assets because those assets will drive revenue to the economy. So living in this side of things, you're bringing a benefit to the economy, which the government appreciates, and they give you opportunity for credits, right? So tax deductions. That's why, as a business owner or 1099, we'll even say 1099. As a 1099, you're given all of your money up front, right? You take all your deductions that goes into running your business. You take that off the top end and you only pay tax on what's left over, right? Versus W-2 versus working for a company, you're taxed at the top.
Yep.
So you take home, your take home pay is after tax. So you get your check, they take the taxes off the top, and then you get to take home everything after taxes.
Yeah.
2 different tax systems, right?
Completely
So
different.
if you're working if you have a W-2 and you have a side hustle on the side, that let's just say you have a rental property or you have some other type of side hustle on the side that you can take deductions off of, right? That will lower your income on the W-2 side, then you're taking advantage of the tax system the way it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Right? You're building wealth, you're growing the economy by investing, by having some type of business and side hustle, and you're an employee paying into the tax system, but you're able to take advantage of those tax benefits.
That's good. It's good. It's such an important part too, because the average American is paying between $8,000 and $10,000 in taxes that they really don't need to be paying. Right?
Yeah.
You could start. It's my favorite movie clip. I've shown it to you before. I always laugh when I see it. It's from The Accountant with Ben Affleck. He's like, "Tell me about the necklace," and she's like, "Oh, I make these and sell them at church." And he's like, "Ma'am, might have what the IRS calls a small home-based business," And he starts going through deductions available for them to decrease their taxable income.
Yep.
It's such a powerful tool. Courtney Epps has a TED Talk that she does on this, where she talks through the financial burden of taxes and how we can legally and ethically pay less. And I love that part of your business and what you do. If somebody's listening today and they've got tax questions, business questions, they're considered starting their own business, how could they get a hold of you?
Oh, I'm all over every social media. My website is cfdservicesinc.com. I have a link in the show notes. But I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X. I'm not on TikTok. I used to be, but I'm not, because I don't know if I'm going to get on there. But you can find me anywhere. Just reach out to me, send me a message in those, and we can link up and have a conversation. I love to sit down and just hear your story and find out where you're going and, where your struggles are and how we can support you. So, it all starts with our initial contact. So reach out to me on any of those mediums and we'll get together.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what state they're in, right? You can do all 50 states.
All 50 states and Puerto Rico.
And Puerto Rico.
And Guam. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. As long as they're a territory.
As long as they're a territory, yeah.
Or serving in the military in Germany.
Yes. Yep. We'll make it happen.
Awesome, man. Hey, man, thanks so much for your time today. And anything you want to say as we kind of peace out?
No, man, thank you for the opportunity again. And, any soldiers out there that are transitioning or any veterans that are listening to this, just know that, you're part of a society or a group, right, that brings so much to our world, and don't let the struggles of this world stop you, because there's always somebody out there that's willing to help. There's always a resource out there. You just got to go get it.
That's good, man. All righty, buddy. We'll see you whenever you decide to come to the office, if it's not snowing already.
Yeah, man. I'll be there shortly.
Talk soon.